Hello, my Astro family. This is Lada from astrolada.com with your May 2020 horoscopes. Yay, I'm back, feeling a bit better. And I have invited this month evolutionary astrologer Bryan to help me to lead you through the spiritual and karmic meaning of this month. And I will cover the more practical, mundane day-to-day influence of the month. And Bryan Coulter is the most spectacular astrologer I've seen. The first week we introduced him, he had 500 individual orders, and they have carried on like that ever since. So he broke the record with us, and you'll see why. He's amazing. So I'm very excited to present you the May 2020 horoscopes. And by the way, on May 16th, Bryan is making his first webinar for astrolada.com for our audience, which is only $63 down from $90, on past life astrology, how to read the past lives in your horoscope. And I think it will be our most successful webinar to date as well, because the topic is fascinating. So let's begin. Leo, May 2020. Hello, Bryan. Thank you for being here. And Bryan is going to start with the notes, the last moment of the notes being in Capricorn and Cancer.
Thanks, Lada. And hello, Leos out there. I got a lot of Leo in my chart myself, so I see what you're up to. Yes, I'll be discussing the notes. And I got this hair that keeps tickling my face. It's kind of an awkward place to start. So I'm going to start swatting an unruly fly here. Anyways, so we're wrapping up the transiting nodes, where the nodes of the moon are in the sky today. They've been in South Node in Capricorn, North Node in Cancer for the last year and a half. And they're about to change signs into Sagittarius and Gemini. And that would be the subject of the next month's videos. So we're wrapping up this energy that we've all been experiencing so strongly. So South Node in Capricorn's been big because it's been aided and abetted by Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn for quite some time now. Also, we have Jupiter in Capricorn right now. So it's kind of like our last hurrah, working with the nodes. Now, we also have our own personal nodes in our birth chart. That's a whole nother subject. And I practice what's called evolutionary astrology. And really the whole foundation of that approach is to understand how we can evolve quicker, more rapidly, using the symbolism of astrology. And our take on the nodes is it's linked to karma. So your own personal birth chart nodes are karmic. South node's past life, North node is the karmic medicine, the karmic balancing point. And I will be teaching a webinar next month that how to create a semi-fictional storyline, a past life storyline that resonates with your past life. So if you're interested in knowing your past life and learning how to do that yourself and for your loved ones, please join me. But the transiting nodes are about the collective karma. The karmic wave has been breaking the last year and a half with this Capricorn Cancer. And for you Leos out there, especially Leo risings, because that's how we bring up the chart here. Your South Node in Capricorn has been in the 6th house, whereas the Cancer North Node has been in the 12th house. And when looking at the South Node, we want to look at sort of habitual behavior, been there, done that sort of energy. And also want to look at the darker potentials of that symbolism so that we can understand the medicine or the remedy being the North Node in a little bit here. But let's focus on the South Node first. There it is in the 6th house. Now, 6th house has many layers of meaning, as do all the houses. So house of service, house of work, house of duties and responsibilities, kind of has a 9 to 5 feeling to it, kind of a 9 to 9 feeling to it, because when you get off work, you're still working at home usually, doing the chores. That's 6th house too, brushing your teeth, going to the doctor, it's all the mundane stuff of life. Yeah. It's also the search for meaningful work. That's another component of it too, which I'll say some things about. It's the house of mentorship. So for the last year and a half, you've been feeling the strong Capricorn energy in the 6th house. Now, Capricorn, good words for Capricorn are like duty, responsibility. And those are similar language we could use even with the 6th house. So with Saturn, Pluto, the South Node in the 6th house, it's likely, especially for you Leo risings folks out there, has been an abundance of activities in terms of getting stuff done. And of course, that can be a bit mind-numbing, you know, duties and responsibilities. And too much of that, too much excess in that, you know, Capricorn doesn't know when to stop a lot of times. The heart starts to harden a little bit. You know, we get lost in the muck and the mire of the mundane, day in, day out. And too much of that earthy energy, we always want to have a balance in life, begins to calcify our ability to feel sometimes. You know, brace for one damn thing after another. And maybe you're working harder than ever to make ends meet, you know, if you're even able to work right now. So house of the mundane. And of course, you know, mundane is good within limits. We got to pay the bills, do our chores, and go to the dentist, or life sucks, you know. But too much of it wears us down. Yeah. And this is a house that, 6th house, has a lot of overlap in meaning with the 6th sign of Virgo. Yeah. And Virgo sometimes is susceptible to anxiety, worry, and concern. Worrying about things that need to get done. And of course, there's plenty to be concerned about right now. You know, I'm not denying that. But as always, between polarity points, the juxtaposition between Capricorn and Cancer, we're looking for that balance. Yeah. More surrender. And surrender is a beautiful segue word for where we're headed, which is Cancer in the 12th house. So your karmic medicine, and again, the nodes, the transiting nodes are the collective karma. And of course, we all have to do our own small part within the sea of people. And working on the 6th house, 12th house axis for you feeds into that jet stream of growth and evolution, really, of humanity. That sounds pretty lofty, but it's true. We all play a part. So your remedy is much different, less about the mundane, the earthy, grounded, sort of almost humbling day in, day out structures into the 12th house, which is dissolving into the divine. 12th house, the house of consciousness, house of meditation, house of non-attachment. Now, Cancer is one of the signs of the zodiac, obviously, and that's you know, signs are motivational. They orient us to life. And this north of the compass, this north node for you, is orienting you towards this direction because Cancer wants to heal, wants to self-nurture. And what a beautiful way to heal and self-nurture than to do meditation. You know, that's one part of it. Yeah. And I have been doing meditations in a lot of my videos. I don't know if anybody's out there has seen them, you know, if you like to meditate.
People love them.
I'm sure a couple of you have seen them, but yeah, you know, that's utterly 12th house. So I recommend checking out my videos, you know, another shameless plug. But really, it's about developing a state of non-attachment, as I said. It's easy to get attached to, you know, the relentless activities day in, day out, our identity getting tied up in that. 12th house is more about dissolving the identity. You're being invited as you wring out as much evolutionary potential as possible in this last little hoorah, as I've been saying. You're invited to become more enlightened. You're invited to raise your consciousness, connect with your own soul, if you will. You know, St. Francis had a great quote once. He said, "What we are looking for is what is looking." It's like, what is looking out through these eyeballs here? What's really operating these avatars? You know, these meat bags.
Avatar was better.
It's like, here I am making flawless Bryan Coulter impressions. You know? This is not me, my body. That's not you, your body. There's something else we're looking for with Cancer North Node in the 12th house. That state of non-attachment. And there's enormous pressure on us to really believe we are us, you know, for me to believe I'm Bryan. I'm really Bryan, to be happy when my storyline looks good and to be sad when my storyline looks bad. And of course, that's just human. But there's something else us Leos are trying to find. We are looking for what is looking, what is older than this body. And of course, attachment, an over-attachment to the chaos of the world and our own houses and upkeep and bills and all that stuff, which is real, not discounting it. Okay. But we can get caught up in the Maya. We can get caught up in the illusion. Yeah. If we're too much in that. So we're just gently, sometimes not so gently, being beckoned to enter into the stillness. And the more you meditate, the more you swim downwards, so to speak, you know, with a rich enough spiritual practice, is your road to healing now. And it'll help you to resist the formation of undue attachment. It'll also help to relax any of the, you know, sixth house stress that can occur. You've had a lot of energy in your sixth house the last couple of years, a lot of planets plus the nodes. So this is your path of healing now. And the more you do that, the more you surrender, the more you become less attached, the more you become less fearful. The faster you heal, and the faster you heal, the faster you grow and you raise your consciousness. And from the viewpoint of evolutionary astrology, that's really the whole reason we're here. And this is a critical clue in the unfolding journey of your soul and how to accelerate that process. And at this point, I'd love to pass the microphone over to Lada and share her perspective, because our own unique perspectives, I believe, really bring a holistic approach. You know, we hit it from all the angles here.
Thank you so much, Bryan. I so much resonated with what you said about the last day of the notes, because I'm a Leo moon, and in the last year and a half, it's been overwhelming routines and responsibilities and duties, and I found it so hard to go into that 12th house, and I couldn't. I resisted, and what happened? Life forced me. I got sick. I had to lay for days. I could not move. Something happened with my hormones. For about a month, I was in bed, so it was forced 12th house bonding.
And that's why the medieval astrologers called the 12th house the house of troubles. Because if you become attached, God will say, "Don't worry. If you get attached, I'll let you figure things out. I'll give you some time. But if you can't figure things out, I'll help." And if God offers help, get out your hard hat is a good rule of thumb, you know. It's like he'll help you. He helped you like slow down. And why did he do it? Because he loved you. You know, irony intended.
But it's true, my priorities changed during this month and a half that I couldn't do anything. I was just laying down and sleeping. I could not literally even cook food for my children. And my priorities changed. This spiritual evolutionary jump of consciousness that you talk about in the 12th house, that's the house of consciousness development. That's what happened by force for me, but I'm so grateful now. So that was beautifully said, Bryan. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And as they say, before a planet or a node is about to leave a sign, its influence is usually the strongest. So you feel this now in May, and you're going to feel it so strong. And I'm going to carry on with what I'm going to focus on for May is that 3 planets are becoming retrograde from the traditional visible planets. When visible planets become retrograde, the things that they rule in each horoscope, they rule 6 areas of life, because each planet rules 2 houses. The material, practical, and visible manifested side of those houses changes, or those areas of your life. As you can see, it's Venus, Saturn. I'll change my background very quickly to show you what does having many retrograde planets mean at the same time. This is like suddenly the whole energy starts shifting direction. So if your life has been going in one way for the last few months, in 6 areas of your life, which is half of the 12 areas, major areas that we have, everything will start turning and moving in the opposite direction, for better or for worse, But the retrograde planets moving backwards, they have this feeling of restarting something, going back to something, returning back to something. And as the whole world is coming out of this lockdown, it's quite obvious that a lot of us will be trying to get back to some normalcy, like what we had before, to restart things that we left and that we pick up again in many areas of our lives. So it's very aligned to what the astrology says. But the going back is never the same as what we went through the first time the planets went through there, because when planets go back, they don't go back in a straight line. Basically, planets move forward and then makes a loop back. So it doesn't move exactly on the same line, but loops around. So we'll go back to revisit, to reintegrate, to realize what the heck just happened now. Or we'll go back to the things, we'll try to go back to the things we used to do before, but it's not going to be the same exactly. We'll have to find alternative ways into it, alternative and different ways to interpret what just happened in the reality, and to question and to try to do things a little bit more differently, the things we used to do before. And for Leo, I cannot talk about all the 6 houses, but I'll focus on the ones that are most potent. First of all, Venus is going retrograde. It went retrograde in your 11th house in 2012. So think back to it around the summer, especially spring and summer. It can give you some inklings to some of the themes that can repeat, or even something that occurred or started there can come back to be reevaluated, re-examined there. But it's going retrograde in your 11th house from Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in Leo, which means that some of you will go back to your friends. Your social circle will start commingling again. 11th house is the people we, in our social environment. You start, connecting back friends from the past you haven't seen. You'll see them again. But going back, you'll be a bit more cautious. And going back, you will start questioning some of those friendships and some of those groups you belong to, some of those Facebook groups you belong to. It's not only it's online, but it's also in physical reality. The social group, the friends, the clubs you belong to, the people that you hang out with who are like-minded, just like you can join an astrology group on Facebook, But you're going to start reevaluating them as well and thinking, are those really the people I want to hang out with? Maybe this break that you had of not being around your friends, maybe it gave you a better perspective. When you're in the midst of a toxic relationship, you don't think it's toxic. When you distance yourself from it, you are able, or from any harmful substance or whatever it is, only from the perspective of distance you can see it's harmful. So maybe this break for a little bit is going to give you, and is giving you already, the ability, this distance that is making you sort out who is the right for you, what groups are right, what ideological movements that you're connected with, or beliefs, or political parties that you support. The 11th house is quite ideological, it's like what you can bring back to society. And of course, we contribute to it by our political affiliation sometimes, by the people, by the groups we join online and whatever. But you're reevaluating that, and it's going to last for 40 days. And you might decide that, and some crisis can happen going back to those people or to those organizations and situations. And you might realize that actually some of those, no, they're not the right ones. They're putting, the communication is not right there. Venus is in Gemini. Your voice is not being heard, or the opinions are not the right ones. And you might leave some behind, some friendships, some of those groups, as I said, during this period of Venus retrograde. Your attitude and opinion about those people can change. Their attitude and opinion about you can change. Some crisis with friendship can happen. But of course, Venus, the ultimate goal of Venus retrograde is not to separate us from people only. It just wants to make any relationships, and the 11th house is house of relationships, more harmonious, more equal, more balanced, more fair. So if you're able to confront that, and in diplomatic way, with words, with gentle communication, Venus in Gemini, are able to basically create more harmony in your friendships, in your groups, with like-minded people, to fix up that crisis, to speak out what your needs feels, to feel more love, to feel more like belonging there, if you're able to sort it out, then you have way more stronger bonds with friends, with groups of people and such like by the time Venus turns direct. Otherwise, you'll just eliminate some of those. The 11th house is also the house of our goals and wishes and dreams. And especially for you, Leo, Venus rules also the 10th house. Um, and being in the 11th, the 10th house is social status, career. So you might reevaluate some of your business contacts, the people that you connect with for you to achieve your goals. You might have some situation that's more complicated that you have to work on to solve, some delays, some issue to overcome, some important conversations you have to do, or you might have to review some of your career wishes and dreams and goals. The rule of the 10th goes in the 11th retrograde, and how you are going about to spread them to larger audience, how you're going around. So you might have some mission. The 10th house is your life mission, your purpose. Venus rules it. And you might, when Venus goes retrograde in the 11th house of making business or bringing out your idea to the public, you know, and doing that mission, but making it reach wider audience and clients. It's very business house as well, the 11th house, very much connected to connecting to many people, spreading a message of some sort. Well, you might be reevaluating how you're doing that with your life mission, with your goal, reevaluating even some of your business strategies, marketing strategies, or how you're going about achieving your life mission, goal, and dream. And some you might even have to remove and trim off certain things of your life mission, goal, dream, that you've been doing till now, how you've been going around receiving it, and change it. But the 11th house is also in ancient astrology the house of gains, the gains from your business, the salary that you work for, it's your income. It's the bonus that you get for something done, the commission if you have a business, often connected to, you know, because 10th house is career, the 11th house is the gains from it. So some of you might be reevaluating your strategy, business financial strategy as well, of how you go around getting that income. Or some of you might have to work 3 times harder, because retrograde planet means to work 3 times hard on something, to edit, to correct, to fix, to improve something that's not really working so well in your strategy with that, with gains, with rewards, with acknowledgements, with titles and honors, according to Vedic astrology, is the 11th house. The accolades we'll receive, either in monetary way, or either as a title, or as a recognition from people saying, well done, you know, we're your fans. So you might go revise this strategy, try and make it of receiving any of those things, you know, try to make it more harmonious, more financially astute, business astute in any way. All right. And also your Venus rules your 3rd house, and the 11th house, 3rd house is marketing, advertising, your message that you send out there. And going retrograde in the 11th house again is reaching the public. You're revising, or you might be changing that strategy. Then Saturn is going retrograde in your 7th house as well. So there is a big shift starting to happen in your relationships. And this is the first time in 30 years Saturn is going retrograde in your house of relationships. And I'm talking one-on-one personal relationships with very important people in your life. It might be a very close friend, or it might be someone like your marriage partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, commitment, or business partner. And so there is the start of reevaluation of this kind of relationships as well, to re-examine. Some of you will start asking, and don't worry, because Saturn will go retrograde 2 more times in your 7th house over the next 2 years. So it's just the beginning of this process. You're getting a bit of a glimpse, especially early born Leos. In 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th of July, or those who have their ascendant in the first 5 degrees, they will feel that, or their moon, mostly. But I think as resonance, most Leo will feel it. So they'll start questioning, because Saturn always, you know, retrograde is to question, to go deeper, to examine more deeply your personal relationships, and to ask yourself, am I putting enough boundaries there? Saturn wants to protect us by building walls. Maybe you've allowed people to take advantage of you, or maybe you realize that, sorry, maybe you realize that a personal relationship you're on, you might start feeling some kind of dissatisfaction, or start becoming more critical, because Saturn is much more critical. You might start feeling like you want to fix or correct something about a personal relationship you have with partner or business partner. And actually, this is good for business partnership usually, because Saturn is a work-oriented planet, and it usually tends to give more solid business partnerships. Even when it goes retrograde, it requires more work between the two of them, some project that they take on that they have to work 3 times as harder. But again, often when Saturn goes retrograde, it creates some problem in your relationships when it's in the 7th. And during its retrograde period of 4 months or 5 months, 4 months, yeah, your task is to work to solve those. Or if you don't, and Saturn won't be retrograde in your 7th house for the whole 4 months, just for May and June, the first 2 months. Also, it can mean that your partner or very close people in your life, they start becoming more Saturnian. They start having some problem in their life, or they starting to reevaluate their life and changing direction, maybe deciding to go into a different career, maybe something happening in their life that is creating some stagnation or blockage or delay for them, and this affects you as well in some way. Or they might become more critical as well towards you, more demanding, more trying to, and the good thing is that you can try and work through a different perspective in regards to your relationship, to shift them, to see them from a different light. And of course, Saturn in the 7th house does test relationships, but don't worry, strong, good business, personal relationships like marriage that are based on love, that both people are willing to work on it, to take on more responsibilities together, because Saturn tends to ask us to take more responsibilities together, to commit further and deeper. These survive and become even stronger. But the ones that are based on just trying to use each other, or there's too much dissatisfaction, it just escalates more and more. The sense of inadequacy escalates also more. So the only thing you have to fear, you don't have to fear, because Saturn in the 7th retrograde can remove relationship, business, and personal clients as well as the 7th house. That are the ones that are too judgmental, or the ones that are outdated, the ones that are stopping or blocking your progress, that are no longer valid in your life, but it will actually strengthen and deepen and recommit the ones that are the good and valid ones. Okay, and then you're gonna have Jupiter retrograde in your 6th house for the first time in 12 years. This happens just once every 12 years, and it's gonna last through the summer. And now this is a time when Jupiter goes retrograde in your 6th house, that you've had so many planets, like Bryan said, in the 6th house. You've been doing so much work there with work, with routines, with health. But now it's just the so-called benefic, even though it's considered weak in Capricorn, but it gives us a philosophical perspective, finding the meaning in everything that you went through in the past couple of years almost with Saturn there, and trying to understand and finally, because Saturn is no longer there, I believe that there can be a much easier shift in that 6th house. So, because only one benefic is there, and Pluto, but Pluto's been there for 10 years now. So one benefic is only left there, and it goes retrograde. And the 6th house is work, service, your work routines, your work efficiency, your work environment. And you can start, reevaluating it now, but in a much easier way, in a more philosophical way. If you decide to leave a job or something, you'd feel like a relief. You're not going to be like, oh, I'm afraid today. You feel like you're liberated from a duty or responsibility. Or if you decide to basically, because Jupiter can help grow business, can help grow work and duties and responsibility. When it goes retrograde, you can start the process of questioning, examining, researching, delving deeper, how to grow that business, how to expand it, or also trying to work 3 times harder to implement some plan in growth and expansion, but the hard work is done while the planet is retrograde. And of course, the 6th house is your attitude towards your health. And you can have like some philosophical breakthrough or realization and understanding about some self-medicating habits or some unhealthy habits with food or posture or how you take care of your body overall. The environment, is it toxic in any way? Is it affecting you? And you can have like a very easy, how do I say, like a realization suddenly about what is the problem coming from. Plus, this is diagnosis, the sixth house. If you've had some health issue, when Jupiter goes retrograde, you might get a second opinion, get re-diagnosed again, maybe ask someone to look further, and they can actually dig deeper and give you different alternative perspective in regards to a health issue you have. But also you can see in a much easier way, different perspective about your health, your routines that can change, that can help you transform them. And ultimately you can even start implementing some new health routine in a more inspired way. Jupiter is inspired, and it's not new, but something you've been thinking about. It's retrograde after that. Maybe you've been thinking for a long time, I have to stop smoking, I have to start working out, I have to start eating, less protein or meat or whatever. And now Jupiter goes retrograde, and it becomes stronger because it's 3 times closer to Earth when it's retrograde. So now you really buckle down and start trying to implement this. And it's harder, of course, when it's retrograde, but because it's Jupiter, you have the inspiration to do it. And by the time it starts moving direct, these things should be easy. It should become this new health program or way you take care of your body should have become more natural to you rather than having to use willpower for it. And you'd have gotten a very deep understanding, almost like realization about some health issues and such matters. Okay, anyway, thank you so much. That was a long one. Thank you so much, Bryan, for being patient.
Yeah, my
And
pleasure. Yeah, I loved what you were saying about all the busyness. Notice like it resonates with the sixth house. You also had a lot of planets in the 10th house, 11th house, third house. It's like, oh my God, it's a storm out there, but it's like that true north is always the same. To remain
yes, remind
balanced and
people.
stable is the healing. And the more you do that, the more you'll be able to be within the eye of the storm as the chaotic environment surrounds you. That doesn't stop, It's just that you can come at it from a more balanced, non-attached way when you're doing your North Node work. So I love the integration of, really working with, the retrograde planets and all these houses as well as with the nodes.
So stay Zen, Leos. Thank you so much. Come and join Bryan on the 16th of May for his past lifetime astrology, how to read the notes and see the past life story, your past life story. And it's discounted 30%, only $63 for 4 hours of a webinar. Have a great May.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.